whisper ramble is going to be about the intersection between perception, perspective, both of those, and value. So, perception and value. And I'm going to start by talking about a concept that I first heard with Ram Dass and have since heard elsewhere. And the way that Ram Dass says it is that your perspective defines your perception. And the example that he always gives is that if you're traveling, you're on a road trip, and you're about to run out of gas and you pull into a town, gas stations are going to pop out at you. And if you are on a road trip and it's time for dinner and you pull into a town, you're going to see restaurants and grocery stores and other places where food happens, because your perception defines your perspective. No, your perspective defines your perception. I think that's what he says. Yeah, your perspective defines your perception. But the idea is simple, right? The way that he also says it, and I like this one, and I should have led with this because I use it more in my real life, is, oh my god, I just lost it. You see what you look for. It's so simple, so elegant. You see what you look for. You're looking for gas stations, you're going to see them. When you're looking for restaurants, you're going to see them. You will see what you look for. If you are looking for reasons to be grateful, you're going to see them. And likewise, if you're looking for evidence that everybody you've ever known is trying to hurt you, you're going to see that too. So what you're seeing has a lot to do with what you're looking for, right? So that's the perspective component that I wanted to bring up first. And that's really just like, we're going to put that on the back burner, and that's a backdrop, while we consider a couple stories. Okay, sorry, I wanted to move the microphone. So these stories is really the same story told twice, two different ways. So here we go. We'll start with the story of the graduating daughter and her father, who has been saving a classic Jeep for her whole life. And he gives her this Jeep, and it needs a little work, it needs a little TLC, it's a little beat up, a little bit, but it runs, and it's in okay condition. You know, it's not pristine, it's not cherried out, but it's pretty sexy. You know, it's cheap, and it's like a graduation present, and really even more. And this is just like a parable. I don't think this ever happened, but more than the Jeep is the present, like the wisdom of the Jeep is the present. So he tells her, I want you to take this Jeep down to the pawn shop and see what they'll give you for it. And so she takes it down to the pawn shop, and they're like, kid, we're a pawn shop. We don't sell old cars that often. You know what? Fine. Jeeps are sexy. We'll give you like $100. And so she goes back to her dad, and she's like, thanks for the present. They say it's worth $100. And he's like, okay, I want you to take it down to the local used car dealer and see what he'll give you for it. So she takes it down to the local used car dealer, and he's like, well, it's pretty dinged up, you know, it's been off-roading, obviously, and it's old. It's like dozens of years old, but it does run. We'll give you $1,000. So she goes back person even offered her $100,000 for this 30-year-old Jeep. And he said, it's a rare collectible. You never hear of one that's actually a running condition. Everything that's wrong with it is really like superficial body work. It's priceless to this guy, right? And that's the gift. That's the lesson. The dad's like, what'd you learn? She's like, the value of Jeeps is all over the place. And he's like, no, because the Jeep stayed the same. But when you took it different places, the perception of value changed, right? So again, people see what they look for. When you're looking for value in a person, you're going to find it. And if people are looking for value in you, they're going to find it. So what does this have to do with the fact that we all need to go to the airport? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to bring you another story. And this one is about a bottle of water. I wish I would have had the foresight to have a bottle of water. Just imagine that this, I don't even think I own a plastic bottle. This is a plastic bottle of water. Now this bottle of water, because we're using our imaginations, because we're good at that here in this best possible timeline. This bottle of water came from Costco for 25 cents. It tastes pretty good. I'm a water snob. It's definitely reverse osmosis. It does a good job of quenching your thirst, right? This bottle of water. Take this same bottle of water and we put it in a vending machine. And now all of a sudden, instead of being worth 25 cents, it's worth $1.75, which when did vending machines get so expensive? What is going on? Does anyone have a time machine? Anyway, the point is, same bottle of water, Costco, 25 cents, vending machine, $1.75. Take it to a movie theater. All of a sudden, that bottle of water is $3.75. Take it to the airport. In the airport, the bottle of water is worth $5. So we've had an exponential increase in value over this traveling bottle of water, right? It's just like the Jeep. The value didn't change, but the environment did. The perception did, right? The circumstances changed. So I don't know who needs to hear this or if I just need to say it, but get to the airport. Where is your airport? Where are people going to have eyes for your value? Because you have value. Everybody does. There's like they say in acting, there's no small roles, only small actors. Life is like that. Everybody is important. Whether you're a street sweeper, a chimney sweeper, a civil engineer, a janitor, everybody is essential to keeping the lights on and the food in the grocery stores and the children cared for and educated, and it all only works because everybody has a role to play. So where is your role if you're feeling negative emotion, if you're stressed and you're sad, and etc., etc.? Is it because you're at Costco? I mean, Costco is a depressing place, but no, is it because you're at the pawn shop? Are you in the place where people aren't looking for and aren't seeing your value? And does that affect your ability to see your value? You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's a quick ramble, I guess. But, it's just something that really feels like somebody out there needs to hear it. So if that's you, you have value. And you might not even know how valuable you because maybe you've always been in the pawn shop, and maybe you never even thought before that there could be an airport for you. But yeah, where is it that is in alignment with your highest self, with your potential? And how do you find that alignment? I think, and this is just a personal opinion, feel free to agree, disagree, compliment Carl Rogers, who's the founding father of this, probably. He's one of the founding fathers of humanistic psychology, which, this feels like a very humanistic idea to me, which is to just trust yourself and follow what feels good, right? Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot, or Esther Hicks, or what. Anyway, the point is, Abraham through Esther talks about, you think you want the money, the freedom, the family, the husband, but really what you want is the feeling that having all of those things, not even having all of those things, but doing all of those things will bring you, right? So how do you cultivate that? It's not by working really hard. Working really hard might get you a lot of it in time, but Abraham Hicks talks about, do this thing that feels good, and it'll lead you to this next thing that feels good, and it's like following this trail of breadcrumbs to your goals, and just building the momentum of that positive energy. So, how do you find your airport? Well, you do something that feels good today, and when the next thing that feels good, and I'm not talking about hedonism, no, we're talking about things that feel good to your highest self, things that actualize your potential and your human capacities, right? Real valuable experiences, because that's the point, things on your curriculum here on the planet Earth. In the words of Carl Rogers, I gotta memorize this, it's really long, but my favorite quote ever is when he talks about the psychologically mature adult understanding that the totality of his being is wiser than his thoughts alone. It's a lot like when Nietzsche said, there's more wisdom in your pinky than your deepest philosophies. Be in communion with your body, to cultivate clarity of your desires, and thereby your actions, and always have one eye pointed towards the airport. And let the other eye, you've got two for a reason, right? That's a Ram Dass thing. One of them should be taking information in as it comes to you, as the other one is constantly making steps towards your goals. And maybe your goals will change as new information comes in, right? That would be impressive, because that would be a distinct lack of cognitive dissonance, which people are not known for. And that is the end of this very esoteric whisper ramble about value and perception, and it's an invitation to me, probably, but you do, to be deliberate about cultivating positivity and joy, really. I think joy, because sometimes stuff is bad. It's just bad sometimes, and there's monks out there who can light themselves on fire, and that's doesn't faze them, so maybe it's not inherently bad, but it's bad, in my little, this is me and what I want, and these are my goals, and, now my mom is dead, that was bad. But even during those parts, and maybe especially during the heartbreaking, grief-ridden times, to be deliberate about cultivating and protecting levity, right? right? Ricky Gervais talks about this at the end of the Humanity comedy special, which is so funny. I love Ricky Gervais. And he talks about there's a rule in his family where if you can say a joke, like, you have to say it. And I just love that rule. And I employ it most of the time. And then I even expanded upon that. If there's an opportunity for joy, take it. I don't care if it's having a laugh, giving a laugh. It might be having a stretch. It might be taking a deep breath. It might be having a cup of tea and being really cozy. Just take the opportunity for levity. Take the laugh. Take the joy. Cultivate joy. And watch what magic happens in your world. What you're able to manifest, what falls into alignment, what opportunities find you, what do you stumble upon, what synchronicities are there when you don't inhibit the momentum of your desire, right? Because we have this desire. Abraham Hicks talks about this. We have these desires and they come shooting out of us, and then part of us goes like, oh no, that's not allowed. Like, yeah, sure, that's possible. Okay, other people have that, but they were born into it. It was given to them. Like, they deserve it. I don't. Whatever. We have all these limiting beliefs. Like, just be deliberate about doing the joyful thing. And when the limiting belief pops up, not watering it. Don't repress it. You know, just look at it like, oh, you again. And then choose to build that momentum. Choose to pivot, right? Be deliberate about pivoting towards the momentum of your joy, because that's where your alignment is, and that's where your highest self is waiting for you. So that is, there's like the neighbor's dog is howling or something. Anyway, I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for joining me here for this random ramble in the best possible timeline. If you're interested in supporting this space or me with my pursuit of joy and levity, I've got a GoFundMe going right now for my dog's eyesight, because that has been an opportunity for me to be deliberate about practicing levity and joy even while my heart is breaking, and also a Patreon where we're doing all kinds of fun stuff, and you should totally come. Thank you so much for your time this evening. I hope you enjoyed some of these concepts. I hope they helped you realize that if you're not in your airport, it's out there. So may we all find our airport. May we get closer and closer to it every day. It's coming for you. From my best possible timeline to yours,